The following podcast is sponsored by Words and Pictures Comics, located at 2610 Center Street, number 6. Words and Pictures is your one-stop shop for vintage back issues and cutting-edge graphic novels. Awesome service, great shop. Check them out. Welcome, everyone, to episode 238 of Just Joshing. I am your host, Joshua Penteleresco. I write stuff and podcast too. Today, I conclude my conversation with Stacey Smekofske. We're going to continue on from mentorship and basically from where we started last time until we conclude. But first, a couple of things. I'm nearly at 100 likes on my Facebook page. If you see Joshua Penteleresco, author, podcaster, like it. Just because I'm really close, and I would definitely love it if I hit 100 likes by the end of the week. That would be really cool. No Patreons as of yet, but I'm not really... Oddly enough, I'm unconcerned. It's not... I kind of like looking at this like everything else I've done in my life. I have to build from the ground up, and I'm doing that. Beyond that, I'm working on LS0. That's going to be basically my focus for the next 3 days because I want to have that ready to go so Mackenzie won't beat me, but also simply because it's ready to go, and I really probably should get this done and out there so I can focus on the other things that are coming up this year. I was given a reminder yesterday, that my course is the right course. I saw something today on the day job that just made me think that, you know what, maybe, just maybe, that with the way things have gone or are going, that, you know, this is a course I need to stay on no matter what. Just the nature of the beast and how things are moving and evolving. Enough about that. We're going to get to the fun stuff. So I have a winner for my first contest for courtesy of Words and Pictures. The Superman Wonder Woman, Volume 1, goes to Rory Downs of Calgary, Alberta. Rory, congratulations. Thanks to everyone that entered, and hopefully you guys will take part in the next contest, which comes up on Monday. Let's just get to the conversation now, shall we?
You can get cleaner, and you can get more polished, and you can get better, and you can have a cleaner, beautiful story. And, you know, Stephen King is a great writer, but I guarantee you he has an editor. And,
Absolutely.
You know, one of my mentors, they're a father-son team, and I tell people they're my mentors, but honestly, I don't talk to them as much as I should. I love these people, but Michael Collings and Michael Brent Collings. Michael Collings, I sat down with him before I decided to be an editor, because he's the foremost authority on Stephen King, and he's like, he was the poet in residence over at Pepperdine University. Like, he's an amazing man, and I love his wife. They're just amazing people. But anyway, I sat down with him. He has tinnitus. I don't know if you know this about Michael Collings, if you even know who Michael Collings is, but he has tinnitus, which means he's constantly hearing the ringing in his ears. He can't hear except this constant ringing. And my voice is highly annoying. It's annoying to more normal people, but I'm sure it's more annoying to this man that hears ringing in his ears all the time. So I was deeply grateful when he decided that it was okay for me to come over and sit down and talk with him. He had his wife across the room so that she could kind of interpret for me if I got a little bit pitched or something. And we sat and talked, and he said something to me that I will never forget. He said that when you get to a certain point, you don't need editors. And I said, well, what's that point? And he says, when you don't care.
Yes, it's true.
And I absolutely loved it, because he's at that point. He's at that point where he has his wife read his stuff, his son Michael Brent, he reads his stuff. Probably his daughter-in-law, I imagine, or his daughter Kendra reads his stuff. But I don't think that he has editors come in. He doesn't hire eons. And when you write poetry too, you're a poet. You said you're a poet. Mm-hmm. Editors don't edit poetry. That's like That's like having somebody come in and edit a masterpiece that's been painted, on a canvas. You don't do that. That's that person's art, and that's, visual just as much as it is lyrical. So when he said that to me, I actually really kind of understood my job better.
Yeah.
Because I was like, you know what? You're right. I'm getting hired to help these people, and if they're hiring me, they care.
Yeah.
If they're not hiring me, it's because they don't care, or they found somebody else.
Well, and I think the challenge authors have to face, and you're absolutely right, it's all about ultimately giving a shit. But, I mean, it's the challenge authors have to face is, again, you have to recognize that you need help. And this is a very important thing I think authors need to realize is you can't do this alone. You need somebody somewhere to help you. The flip side is, there's a balancing act authors have. It's like, this is what I want to present. And you have to be true to whatever that vision is as an author, no matter who your editor is. Now, if you're going to the traditional route and you want to be paid, you're going to be not. But then again, here's the deal. They're paying you. So, I mean, you have to, that's what comes with that territory. It's like, we're paying you to do whatever it is you're doing. So, this is what we want. Okay. I'm easy. You're paying me.
Yeah,
right? And that's
you're back to that formula where, they know what they're going to need to do in order to make money. Their job is to make money.
Yes, so
they're gonna want you to produce stuff that's gonna make them money.
Well, and that's the way it is. So you have to as a professional, not just as a writer, but as a professional, right? Recognize what the goal is. I just submitted something to a magazine that's getting published. I actually got my paycheck for it literally last night. It was actually kind of cool thing to walk home to, actually. Yay! Yeah, isn't that right? They had a particular thing they wanted to do, and I was like, okay, this is what you want. I gave them X amount of stuff to use. And they go, are you happy with this? Because that's all I care about. It's like, are you happy with this? I have no problem with my name on it. Are you happy with this? Are you, right? Yes. That's it. That's all I care about. Right? Because if you're happy with it, I'm happy with it. Would have been the way I would have done it, personally. Not in my perfect world. But it's they're the ones footing the bill. Okay, I'm a professional, and I think that's the final. I think authors do need to realize this if they ever want to get into a more traditional field. There's two sides. I think being a hybrid author is the best. Writing in both worlds is probably where a lot of authors are going to find their most success. You need to have something that's true to you, but right. So you have to, as an author, realize, like, you do need to be coached. It's just the way it is. It's the nature of the game. If you're willing to be, on some level, directed and coached, the product will be probably better, one. And two, because it's a collaboration. It's not just you. And two, right? But two, the lesson from someone like Tim is be true to your vision. Whatever that vision actually is, be true to it. Especially when you're on your own, because honestly, that's where you should be. You're at your boldest, right? But also, the same token, you're going to an editor because ultimately, you realize that you're not perfect. You want it to be the best possible product it can be, and your ego doesn't matter. And that's a very, very, like, you're going to check your ego to the door to some degree. Fight for your vision. Do not fight.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Really? Because, I mean...
No.
Hold on. I like the idea of keeping your ego.
No. You can have... No. You're going to keep your ego. But, I mean, look. Here's the deal. Here, right? I mean, the reality is, right? You know this. You don't get it all right either. No one does. And I think it has, right? I think everyone has to keep that in mind. That doesn't necessarily mean that you don't fight battles, because you should. Editors don't win, even in traditional publishing. Editors don't win 100% of their battles either, right? They would rather, right? No one does. That's not the point. The point is, can I collaborate with this individual to produce the best possible book? And that's the real, because that's when I get my ego. Because when people go, I like this book, and it means that's a good ego trip right there. That's a better ego trip. Yeah, right?
Getting your reviews and getting when you sell a book.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's got to be.
No, that's a huge high.
Somebody paid money.
Yeah, that's right. No, that's a huge high. See, that's where I want my ego. I don't want my ego at the process of building the book. I don't care about my ego quite so much there. I want it to be the best it can be. That's my whole philosophy, right? That's it. Ego? No, I have an ego. Let's be honest here. I have a giant award right beside me that says I'm a good podcaster. Whether it's true or not is beside the point. Someone recognized, right? The reality of the situation is, right?
Josh, did you go get that yourself?
No.
Just go to the trophy store. I'm gonna buy myself a trophy right now.
Look,
right here.
Yeah.
This water bottle right here. I got this because I'm a great editor.
So this. That's actually.
Oh, okay, that's pretty.
Yeah. So this. So I won that last year for this podcast. And the best part. So again, ego. So let's talk ego for a second here. So it's to the right of me right now. I did not nominate myself. Someone nominated me. Enough people believed in me to put me a finalist, which in itself is a huge victory. I got this amazing pin right here for getting that far. And I met some really cool people as a result. I won before I even got my name called out, and then to actually be there in front of some of the bigger names in Canadian literature and hear my name called out in front of this crowd. That's a damn cool feeling, right? So, do I have an ego? You bet your ass I have an ego. But the thing is, right? But the thing I recognize, right? It's my desire to get better at this stage in the game and to keep always constantly seek to be better. There you have to check your ego at the door. Because honestly, it gets in the way. Where you get right. Where
you gotta. Yeah.
Right.
You gotta have some humility.
Yeah, you do. And I think this is the thing. That's where an indie author has to go. Like, okay, what's the best for the work? That does it again. Going back to Tim, true to vision. Yes, you know what? Be uncompromising with your vision of your story. That's where you cannot compromise, right? But where
the standards will help. If you have standards, you're gonna be a better author.
All the way around.
That's where the editing
ultimately, if you like, for me, you want to be in a hybrid realm where you want to be in a bit of both. Well, right. You want to be in a bit of both. If you're not willing to be coached on the indie level, you're not going to be coached on the traditional level. And guess what? They won't work with you. And they'll be right. And they actually will be right. And they'll be right. Because here's the deal. Right? So again, ego is a good thing to a point. Now, you gotta recognize when the ego needs to be checked. Right? That's my own philosophy. There's points where you're like, okay, I really do suck at this right now. I need to make this better, and it's okay to right. That's what the editor's for, right? Now when I'm out there, but
because
it's good. It's a good approach, right? It's a really good approach because you're right?
I think so.
Yeah.
It's healthy, but it's like you said. I think that sometimes I meet a lot of authors that actually lack ego, and I feel like I have to give it to them. There's many times where I feel like I have to look at somebody in the eye and say, listen, there's no other you
That's
out
true.
there. There's no other Josh. you've got a unique story because you have unique perspectives, because you have unique life experiences that have shaped you. And because of those life experiences, there's only one that can tell what you need to tell in your own way. And that's what makes, and I tell people this all the time. I tell people, my friends, my family, my kids, they probably get sick of me saying this, but honestly, the human experience cannot be lived alone.
No.
You cannot maximize your human experience in this life by, living in your room and pretending like the world doesn't exist and watching Netflix till the day is done. You literally have to go out and you have to experience meeting people, coming full circle about, you and I, what we were talking about earlier, where we were talking about meeting people and going out there and getting out of and meeting all these neat, interesting people, because it's those experiences that they have that will impact my life and shape me to make me a better, more happy, healthy, well-rounded person. Because it's those people, I think, that close themselves off and don't meet those people and I guess approach relationships with an open mind, that they tend to lose those experiences can impress on them that will make them be better people. And that's why I like doing what I do, is because I get to help people share what they have to express.
I feel like I had in one of my books I published, I pointed out, like, people are afraid of seeming small. People are afraid of that. Mm-hmm. Now here's the truth. Now here's the frightening truth. You're smaller than you even realize. The more you go out into the world, the more you realize that there's so much out there. This podcast has been a blessing for me in this sense too, because I've met all kinds of people, like from all kinds of walks of life you can imagine, and this world is bigger than I could ever hope, like, understand it to be. It's too big for me. Mm-hmm. I'm even smaller than I realize. Right, the more I go out there. So, I mean, that is the truth. But what also has changed is I'm a lot more accepting of this. And because of that, I can grow. And no matter how big I get, I will actually I will not get bigger. The paradox is I will actually get smaller. But not in the way where I'm, like, petty and insecure. I'm smaller because I realize, like, I am an even tinier piece of this machine, whatever this machine is, right, while I'm here. And it's a neat thing, because that means there's always mysteries, there's always things to see and do and discover. But getting to that point requires that you give up your fear of being small. And a lot of people don't have that. So, and you have to learn that somehow, some way.
Well, it's one of my favorite things to do is actually just, I mean, I'm a horrible person when I'm driving. I have conversations with myself as I'm driving down the road. I think I'm psychotic.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Bluetooth, and so they think, oh yeah, she's just on her phone. Yeah, but no, I'm not. I'm just talking to myself. What's really bad is when I'm doing it in the grocery store. But in the car, at least I'm by myself. So I'll go down the road and I'll be driving and talking, and I'll look over at the person next to me. And if, like, they're having a bad day and we've somehow had this, like, not collision, but, like, kind of like this crossing of paths where maybe he's cut me off or I've cut him off, or somehow our driving has interfered with the other driver in some way, and maybe I might get a finger. Maybe. I often like to think to myself, oh, you know what, that poor man, he's probably just like, yeah, you just love. I'm sorry. Oh, he must be on his way to the hospital. Like, or, he found out that his apple that he just bought at the grocery store was bruised. You have no idea what that person next to you is going through. And so it's like you said, that little part of us that makes us little in the world, it also binds us to one another and should be somewhat comforting to understand that everybody else is going through the same exact thing.
Yeah.
Josh's world revolves around Josh. But at the same time, when you get to the point where you're experiencing and learning and talking to as many people as you talk to, you also understand that your little bubble, it actually bumps into other people's bubbles. And those other bubbles, my world doesn't revolve around Josh. My world revolves around Stacey. But my Stacey bubble has bumped into Josh's bubble today, and we're like meshed over a little bit. And I think that's what happens when we read books. I think
Absolutely.
that's what happens when you go out and you meet people, because you get to actually open your bubble up a little bit and let somebody else's bubble influence you.
Yeah.
And it makes you a better person. It expands your mentality, and it makes you a much more open and happier person if you do that. So that's why I just love meeting people.
And the word for the day, empathy. It's a beautiful thing, right?
Empathy.
So, yes.
Yeah, empathy is a beautiful. Because, I don't know everything about you, Josh. Not yet.
No. Maybe one day. Although I do think I've amused the hell out of you. So just with how I've come across on some of these.
Yeah, you are quite amusing.
Yes.
And there are things that people learn about me that actually surprise the hell out of them. When they find out. I have some life experiences that are a bit on the dark side and that have shaped me into who I am. And it's very surprising for a lot of people because I'm this perky, upbeat, person.
Well, actually, I find for people that are like go through dark times and actually are on the other side, they're actually a lot happier, oddly enough, because the darkness changes you, but it also gives you perspective, right? It's like, and I mean, I my own personal experiences were terrible, but on the same token, not much phases me anymore because I know who I am. I know what I've been through. I know what I can survive. There was it's funny, my current day job, which right now I have for amusement's sake has call it a sparkle muffin because it fits the sparkle muffin. It's my way of calling my day job a drunken hot mess without actually saying it's a drunken hot mess, right? So that make this clear, right? So I call it that right now. There's an incident about 3 years ago where I was going to be fired, and I was fired at this job, and I took it very, very well. Actually, my manager was worried at how well I took it because it was not. It's like, okay, like this is what it is. So I just did my due diligence, and I was like, well, if they let me go here permanently, I'll find something else to do. If they bring me back, I'll get right back on the saddle. One way or the other, I'll find something else to do during that week I'm not there, which I did. But it didn't rattle me at all because it's like, oh, whatever. I've been through worse, right? Now, if I were to be fired, I'd be since I'm going more part-time now while I'm pursuing this crazy little journey I'm on right now, it'd annoy me more right now, but it wouldn't be the end of the world either. I'd find something else. I can survive. I've been there before. I've been there again. And when you have that, right, you're stronger. You're a lot stronger for going through that. Then someone's like, oh my God, my rent's 3 days late. The world has come to an end. And I've seen this with some people, right? It's like, oh my God, we need this. And you're like, why do we need this? And they look at you. You're not. It's like, no. You're not even, no. Well, what about? Do you care about anything? Yes. This is not important.
I think part of it is, it's all about your attitude.
Yeah.
It's all about your attitude. It's like you said, it's how you approach the problem. I don't know. I have anxiety, and I probably have had some panic attacks, but I never go to the doctor. So I'm always afraid if I'm going to go to the doctor's going to say something like, Stacey, you have a brain tumor and you have 2 days to live, so get your affairs in order. So I don't go to the doctor because I don't want to hear him tell me
You only hear bad. You only hear that kind of bad news. Yes, okay. Yeah. I don't go to.
No. So I live on WebMD WebMD, which usually means they tell me I have cancer every day. So, I mean, oh, I have a headache today. Let me go on to WebMD. Oh, you have cancer. You're dying of colon cancer. Oh my gosh, my foot's swollen. Oh, you have foot cancer. That's WebMD for you. So, I'm dying anyway, but I don't go on to the doctor. So I have this anxiety that I deal with, and I'm always worried. Like you said, I'm always at the forefront of my head. There's, oh my gosh, the power bill. Did I pay the power bill? Oh my gosh, the water bill. Did I pay the water bill? I'm going to be taking a shower, and all of a sudden in the middle of the shower, I'm not going to be able to finish rinsing because I've got, shampoo in my head, and I'm all that stuff goes through my head all the time. And I don't know if it's a woman thing or if it's a Stacey thing, but I do know it's a human thing.
Yes.
Because like you said, people panicking all the time. There's this constant, worry. But one thing I've noticed is that people that worry, and it's something that I actually have to, I have to meditate to help myself overcome, is if I'm constantly worrying, I get these gray hairs. See, I get these horrible gray hairs, and I also get these terrible wrinkles, and I also get this heart condition where I feel like, oh, my heart hurts, and all those things that all happens when I'm worried all the time, and worrying is not. It's a waste of energy.
It's not useful at all.
So, like you said, you've got to kind of sometimes give that worry away and just put it in a closet somewhere, because it really does nothing for you. You're not moving forward when you're worried. And so, I have to constantly have this pep talk in my head. Oh, get rid of the anxiety because it's just gonna kill you, Stacey. You're gonna die of cancer.
Well, no. That might not be the right headspace for that. But I'm just saying, it's almost, that sounds almost like self putting in. It's like, don't do it, you get cancer. Oh my God, I got cancer. Oh, stop worrying, you get cancer. Oh, stop. No, downwards. No, stop. Breathe. Yeah. No, again, after going through what I went through personally, it just was like, not much bothers me, but again, I've been through, I know who I am, I've been on the other side. I'm good. You know what I mean? I'm good. I've done it.
Yeah.
And so now I am cheerfully happy to sometimes to the shock, surprise of those around me. Because again, one hand, I don't have a traditional life in any stretch of the imagination. So a lot of people go, well, why are you so happy? It's because I don't have a traditional life in any stretch of the imagination. And that was how I wanted it. And again, right? And I think the final thing I'll talk about before we wrap this up is, I learned last year a very important lesson. And this is something I think everybody always has to keep in mind. People get exactly what they want. Period.
Oh, that's true.
Period. Right? But what a lot of people don't do. Right? What a lot of people don't do is they don't really consider what it is they actually want. Their actions say one thing. Their words might say another. And they don't equate the two together. For example, people seem to think I'm good at this podcasting thing. I'm trying to use it to open doors and sponsors and things like that nature, and kind of seeing where that's going to lead me this year. I've already taken some interesting steps to start the year. It's only the 8th of January, but so some cool things will hopefully be happening sooner than later. But I made a conscious decision of what I want, and I'm taking action because that's what I want to do. I'm having another conversation with Stacey, who has been amused as hell of my approach on as a writer, as editor, and just she's amused at this, right? And that's been the start of my day, right? But I mean, but the thing is, I'm choosing deliberately what my actions are, and a lot of people don't do that, but the thing is, with a lot of people making the life choices I'm making now to go forward and pursuing my writing, podcasting goals, someone goes, man, you're lucky. It's like, no, I'm not. I've been working towards this for a long time. I made it happen.
What?
It's what I wanted. Same with...
Right.
Right?
You have to do that. You can't just sit back and watch life go by. And yeah, very much like your story. You've got to put your foot in the door. You know, do the things that you need to do and make things happen. And not just dream about it, but actually put things in motion. And that's, you know, what I think a lot of that would be a great message for all of them to hear is don't just write the story, but, you know, let people read the story.
Let people read it.
And yeah, I think.
And don't be afraid to serve the story. Check your ego at the door there.
Right.
Check your ego at the door there. Have your ego trip when you're out there and people go, oh, I love your stuff, and they gonna give you hugs and buy you booze and other various things that can get you in all kinds of trouble. But that's another story, and you can enjoy that in that moment at that time. That's your decision, right? But I mean, that's like what you're talking about, like in terms of your worries and stuff like that, right? On some level, you've become attached to them, right? On some level,
right?
Right. So you got now. Obviously, you're not going to be able to change that overnight, but you can. But you can recognize when you're doing that. I have a friend when she stresses out. She travels everywhere. She just goes to, like, she works at different places. She just travels, right? Instead of dealing with the issue, she just kind of goes in this big giant circle in her life. And every once in a while, I see her and I meet her. And she goes, "Oh my god!" Blah, blah, blah. It's almost like she's like a machine wound up. And sometimes I joke with her. It's like you're like one of those dolls. I go like this, and you're just going off right now, right? So,
right.
But I showed her that there are habits we all have and we all form and we all have to make better. For example, I need a haircut. I need to actually take better care of myself, and I'm going to be taking steps to do that, right, throughout this month, so that next month when I open my Patreon, I look like a professional or something. Don't tell anybody I am a professional sometimes.
Why don't you just... I don't know, you could just, learn how to give yourself a haircut there. And you don't even have to spend the money.
That's true.
Just go get yourself, like, one of those buzzers.
Yeah,
right off, but, yeah. I could do that. Go for, like this really short hair, go like the monkish look, grow a big giant Fu Manchu beard. No. Oh, yeah.
Totally.
Oh, my gosh. You could even get one of those cloaks, you know, like, that could be your thing.
That's right.
Pentelarasco.
The
Jedi?
Gothic Jedi, Joshua Pentelarasco, something like that. Totally. Yeah, it's right. That'll. It's like, why did you make yourself like Kylo Ren? No, I'm not him.
I'm not Kylo. Stop it.
I wouldn't.
That's funny.
Yeah, but anyways,
I get it. You gotta do what you gotta do and take the steps to make things happen for sure. And yeah, that's my only hope is that I can express that to people that I work with, that I come in contact with, that my bubble gets to bump into, that I get to tell people, you know, hey, listen, you've influenced me. Your story makes me a better person, and I want you to be able to do the same for other people.
Yeah.
And that's my whole message to people when I work with them, is that just go out there and be positive, help people along their path and their journey, because we're all going through some kind of hell. All of us have been through some kind of trauma, or we are currently going through some kind of trauma, and it's not helpful to tear people. We're all on the same journey together. We're all part of the human race, and we're all brothers and sisters in a sense. And so it just does nothing to tear people down. It's more important to make people feel better about themselves and to help them in your unique way that you can only help them. So I'm very much a believer in energy and how that energy influences other people, and it's important that your energy is always positive and that it gives people light and lift, you know, and it doesn't drag people down, because we're dragging ourselves down enough as it is.
Exactly. Well, Miss Stacey, I think we have I think we have an interview. What do you think?
I think so. Do you need me to plug my my website at all?
You should do that here. This is your point. You should be plugging your stuff. What makes Stacey Stacey?
Okay. Well, if you want to see what kind of editor I am, or if I'm a good fit for you, or if I'm going to help you in any way with your story, you can find me at editsbystacey.com, or you can find me on Facebook. I am at /LoveYourEditor. I am also on Instagram at editsbystacey, and I'm on Twitter, but I don't tweet. So I'm an observer. But you can definitely find me. I have a Google footprint about the size of Bigfoot's foot, so you can find me pretty easy. And I'm anxious and always willing to talk to new authors. I'm taking new clients often, so you're welcome to give me a call anytime you want to see if I'm a good fit for you and your project.
All right. And that concludes my conversation with Stacey Smekofske. Thanks very much, Stacey. You are welcome back anytime. Check out her editing services as she listed at the end of the episode. It truly was fun to talk to her. I really enjoyed this conversation. I think you guys will too. Beyond all that, I think the new era is off to a pretty good start. Stay tuned for more exciting news. Next week, I'm in Emerald City Comic Con. Sad news is, with just the way things have gone, I'm not going to be doing a lot of book selling while I'm there. I am bringing my board game, however, and I'm hoping to get a lot of good interviews while I'm out there. Like I said, things haven't gone quite to plan this year so far, but they actually are still moving pretty much as I projected, which is as much as you can hope for, I think, at the end of the day. And that will do it for this episode of Just Joshing. If you want to support the podcast, you can do so in a number of different ways. I have a Patreon, Just Joshing Podcast, patreon.com/JustJoshing Podcast to be specific. If you believe in this podcast, there's also a button at the Podomatics thing. Click on it, donate, what you feel you can, and enjoy the content that's there. There's already some content up there now. More content's going to be added as days and weeks progress. And maybe, just maybe, by next week, there'll be a cool giveaway on the Patreon just for it. So number one. Number two, you can support this podcast by subscribing to this podcast. I'm on Podomatic, Google Play, iTunes, Spotify, you name it, I'm on it. You can just click on it, click the subscribe, send a review, just do your thing, and just spread the word as much as you can. Share it with people if you like what you're hearing. Number three, my YouTube channel, Joshua Pintellaresco. There's over 130 episodes currently in the archive and more coming all the time. I've made it a more regular goal, and I'm slowly but surely filling it up. You have everything in the 10s up to 20s, and man, there's some really, really fun early stuff there. Stuff that makes me kind of cringe a little, but also just some really good stuff. So check it out. Finally, just thanks for listening, guys. I'll be back next week, same bat time, same bat channel. I have a really cool guest to open things up next week, Neil Richardson. That's where we're going to begin, and yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. All right, talk to you guys next week.
Josh.